Hello, and welcome to the Bada Show. I am one of your hosts, Dave, and down there in the bottom square is not Shadow Stevens. I probably used that gag before, but hey, I just pull out the bits whenever I see fit. That's Chris. Chris, how are
Yeah,
you?
I'm Joan Rivers, actually. Can we
Oh,
talk?
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you getting some work done, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm tightening up. Yeah.
Are you? Little Botox action there
A
for you, bud?
little tuck here, and yeah.
A little something, something. Let me tell you, man, that intro was rough. Badabot, our new hero
Mm.
of the show, kind of failed me a little bit there when he. Oh, Badabot, don't start. He's trying to say yet again technical issues via the operator, but I don't believe
He
that's
might have
the
a
truth.
virus. Oh.
Hush.
Hush too.
Well, I mean, it could be operator error because today's
Hmm.
first for me as the host of this humble little program, and the viewing audience may never see this again, but I don't have my giant jug of coffee.
Hey.
I'm
Oh,
like
because you
you,
got to
man.
get to sleep.
I
Hmm.
do. Because I am a lowly retail worker who has to wake up in the wee hours tomorrow for inventory.
Mm.
So here I am with a noisy water
Hmm.
bottle, which I'm pleased to say will probably be part of your crinkling and everything shortly. But yeah, no coffee,
Yeah.
man. Hey, I gotta live the life of a vampire. You know what I'm saying? Or the reverse vampire. I think I sound like a
Sure,
moron.
sure.
Anyway, I'm sounding like a moron. Why don't you jump in and take control of
Oh
the show
boy.
here, Chris? Yeah, it's all you, Bubba. All
Um.
you.
Okay, what do you want to talk about? Today is Hush Day, right? Hush 2
Yeah.
Day. Last week we had Flavortown Day. Now we have Hush 2 Day. I'm not sure which one's a bigger
What a
deal.
duo.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure which one's a
Holy
bigger
moly.
deal. Um, and it's weird. I find myself, I'm happy that Hush 2 is happening, right? And I'm looking forward to reading it, but I'm in absolutely no rush to do so. There's no sense of urgency around it. Um,
Well, I gotta say this: the
mm,
fact that we're bringing it up as like a day
mhm.
is Hush 2 Day is a success within itself.
I mean,
Let me see.
that's all the local comic shops are doing today. Everything is hush, 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 hush. So, but it's
Yeah.
weird. It feels like it doesn't feel as organic as the first one. Where like that one came out and like we all like wanted to know what was going to happen. And I mean, it doesn't help to pull out like a hoary old chestnut here, but it's like instead of it being like, "Hey, what's Hush about?" all the socials are, "Hey, what cover are you going to get?"
Yeah.
And that kind of, I don't know, kind of sucks.
So people are bum rushing the store not for stories,
Yeah,
if there's a bum rush at all,
yeah,
but for
for
the
cover G.
foil
Yeah.
cover. Yeah, exactly. Which is that hurts me deep down
Oh
in my
yeah.
core. You know, I was gonna lead off the show today
Hmm.
talking about some T-shirt stuff.
Oh
Just a
yeah.
little behind the scenes, that conversation you and I had,
Hmm.
and we will in a moment. But I think now is the appropriate time to get this out of my system.
Okay.
And you're not prepared for it, but you did know it was coming because I did say previously this week I would be discussing it.
Okay.
And it's almost like a retraction. It's like if a major newspaper prints something,
Oh yeah.
and but I think it ties really good into this Hush Two hype. You know what I mean? As you said, because people now
Your brother. Hold on
it's
a sec here.
organic.
Your brother popped in here. He says having some issues with Dave's volume.
Am I quiet? All right, I can crank myself up, I guess.
I wonder if
Jeez.
you're quiet or if you're loud.
Ooh, ask him, ask him. This is Bada Bot.
Hmm.
Bada Bot,
Let's see.
Dave's in
Chris is.
here.
Oh, here we go. Chris is loud and clear. Dave is very quiet.
Very quiet. All right, well, my retraction will have to hold on for one
Yeah.
more moment as I make a couple adjustments here.
Is this about a certain first family?
It
Okay.
is. It is
Okay.
about the Marvel's first
Okay.
family.
Just want to make sure I'm
So,
remembering the right conversation.
okay, you are indeed. I'm trying to see if I'm any louder here. Enthralling
It
programming,
is.
folks.
It is.
When Dave cannot figure out sound,
Mm.
that's a rough one. So anyway, hopefully I can be heard better. Let me just make sure. Chris, talk about something while I do this.
Okay.
I'm throwing it back onto you today.
Huh. Okay, well,
Yeah.
should I spoil what you're about to talk about? I know. Oh, you sound far away is what we're hearing here from the word on the street.
All right, let me try this then. Ooh, I think I'm back.
He asks if it's your earbuds, perhaps.
No, it is not. It was before we started today. Things went a little haywire with Bada Bot, hence why
Mm-hmm.
he deserves a spanking. And I had to close the program and then reopen it, which is, you think I'd be a seasoned vet by now doing this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You really
Mm-hmm.
would. But unfortunately, I ain't. And so I had to reopen things. And when I did, it apparently switched my
Nope.
microphone.
He says you're
input.
back.
Yeah,
He says you're good.
there we go. It was only,
You're good.
how many minutes into the program are we?
75.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so now, sorry, I was distracted. Retraction. Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. Here's the problem. Last week, I went all in saying, as a reader, in this day and age, despite being an old fogey, I have learned to adapt, right? I have to, because if I'm a fan of the medium, it's changing. I got to change with it. I may not like it, and change is hard, but I'm doing my best to kind of, nudge my way into it.
Sure.
And I was not so far as to defend series only going to 10 issues, which was like a news blurb there that we were discussing, or everything essentially being a mini, which, yet again, I don't care for it, but what am I going to do?
It is what it is.
Thank you very much. So shortly after we aired,
Like right after.
I know, I probably should have checked the internet before we went online. Hence, we are on the internet. What am I thinking? What am I doing? And it was revealed that Fantastic Four was ending with issue number 33, but then
Nice round number.
Okay, but relaunching the month after with a brand spanking new number 1. Now the creative team is still going to be writer Ryan North, yet he's going to be joined by a new artist, Ramos.
Humberto Ramos.
Yes, thank you. And this, of course, is for one reason and one reason alone: to tie into the movie. I was so irritated, so angry. I was like, I texted Chris immediately. I'm like, I just went on saying how I'm adaptable to how comics are produced now and this and that. But dude, this is just rubbing me the wrong way.
BS. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And, I think most fans can agree. And when I say the word fans, I'm talking about readers.
Actual
Readers. We don't need new number 1s to tie into films. We don't need them. I can understand them, but we don't need them. We don't need new number 1s to tie into a new creative team hopping on board. I get it. We get them. Nothing I can do about that. I'm not in charge. But to say this writer is still continuing what he's been doing thus far for 33 issues in Fantastic Four, nothing is changing.
No.
Okay? He's going to keep on providing, and it's been quality material. It's going to keep on keeping on. But we got to restart the volume. Dude, enough is enough. Like, stop it, I'm trying to be as amiable and elastic as I can here as a fan. You know what I mean? But it seems like the publishers just want to keep flicking at me and, hit me in the back of the ear and bothering me. Going, have we finally irritated you enough to quit yet? Huh? Oh, have we pushed you over that ledge yet? And no, the answer is no. But I'm at that point where I'm just like, I can't keep defending.
Just cut it out.
These multi-million-dollar corporations that are just toying with my emotions. It's really irritating, So, am I going to be buying the new Fantastic Four number 1? Yes, absolutely, because I've been enjoying.
But you know who won't be?
You?
The people who go see the movie.
True.
They're not going to buy it.
I know. And that's one of the points I made to you when we were talking about this off air is, who does this serve? Slabbers.
Nobody. Slabbers, yeah.
That's it.
And it gives them an opportunity to put out, 37 variant covers.
There you go. That's it. That's the only person or fan. Again, I'm using that loosely.
The only consumer.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. The only consumer it serves is the flipper, the slabber, the person who's buying something thinking they're getting an investment because they've never paid any attention to comic book history or lore or anything.
Civilian middlemen.
Oh,
that's it.
dude.
People who just want to get it and sell it.
and me being the kind of person where I always want to say I can put myself in someone else's shoes and try to understand. If I owned a company, I want to capitalize as much as I can, make as
Hmm.
much money. Profits are
Yeah.
important. I understand this, but this is just cheap, 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 cheap to the highest
Oh
order.
yeah.
And dude, like, stop, Marvel, full stop. There was no need for this. You
Mm-mm.
know, and the other thing is, Fantastic Four, the timing is terrible because they just released a new like anthology series, like Marvel Fanfare. It was
Okay.
called Fantastic Four Fanfare, I believe.
Oh, Fantastic Fan Four. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. Hmm.
So for me personally, if you were gonna do that and launch a series like that, maybe you should have.
Launch it when the movie comes
There
out.
you go.
Hmm.
Thank you. That's all you had to do, and then you didn't
Yep.
have to relaunch the
The
current
main
the
series.
current series now, and you would have had a
Yeah.
brand new FF book for who you think the uninitiated would be able to read with
Hmm.
ease. And to be thinking about it even further here, if you have an anthology series, they're little digestible snack-sized stories for the casual person just to pick up and go, right? So
Hmm.
you should have
Hmm.
fanfared then, you fools.
Totally.
So anyway, I don't know. It's not officially a retraction or anything. I'm just pissed off, man. Like
I mean, it's just so blatant, and like you said, it serves nobody. There's no current reader of Fantastic Four that said, "Oh, great, a new number one." There
right.
are zero
Yeah, you're right.
people. I mean, I, yeah, who does it serve?
I don't know. And the other thing is, I understand if you write the book, you're a creative behind the book. You've got to push it as well. This is your product. This is your
Hmm.
job. And
But if you're a good enough writer, you don't need a number one.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, that situation I can understand. It's probably out of Ryan North's control, right?
Oh, I'm
That's
sure.
not his decision to launch it. He wasn't
No,
like,
no,
dude,
no,
I got
no.
to keep writing the same stuff, and you guys got to
Yeah,
slap a new number one on it. Sales are
no, no.
sagging or whatever.
I
This is
no.
Marvel's
And I mean,
decision,
it's Fantastic Four, so sales are never very healthy.
but he's still got to sell it on social
Hmm.
media and stuff. That's part of his job, right?
Hmm.
So I follow him on Blue Sky, and he was trying to put a sunny little, face on it, saying, "Hey, same great stuff you've been getting, just brand new volume." And there was a
Did anybody have the balls to say why?
there. Well, no, but there were a couple commenters who did say like, this is a little tired. Come on now. But then the majority of the comments were just, "Hey, we'll follow you anywhere, man. It's been great. We love it. Congratulations." Like, okay, all right, sit, Ubu, sit. Good job.
Hmm.
So yeah, that be that, and that was very very irritating. And I don't want to spend the rest of the show irritated, especially since I just corrected the microphone issue, and people can hear me. And the first thing they hear is me hooting and hollering and screaming
Ranting and raving.
about the freaking Fantastic Four. I think we should do some follow up stuff instead, if you're cool with that.
Cool.
All right.
Sure, sure.
So I mentioned T-shirts. One of my
Hmm.
goals on this show, and this has been discussed before on air, was to adorn my nips with something new each and every week. Now, I only failed one time by accident, not for having lack of the proper threads, but me just being a bonehead going, I haven't worn this one on the Bada Bin show before, and then looking back and going, oh no.
Was it always a plan from the start, or maybe did you not know that that was your goal yet?
I kind of, you know what? A few episodes in, I think is what it was. I was like,
Okay.
I think I can keep this going. I want to see if anybody
Hmm.
notices, you know. And then of course Chris Yu, uh, you know,
The
the
archivist.
archivist of the Bada Bin show, he's noticing
Hmm.
what I'm wearing and everything. And by the way, apologies to you because we never talk about your attire at all. So you might be sitting there going, "You sons of bitches! Like I'm wearing a new shirt every time too."
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I mean that's fine. But since I do have an extensive closet full of various
Mhm.
graphic tees and jerseys and things, I kind of run the gamut on it. So, last episode, if you remember, I was talking about I had gone shopping with my family to Burlington,
Hmm.
and
They're more than great coats.
now it is. I almost called it Burlington Coat Factory too. Could you see my mind kind of slowing down, saying, "Don't say Coat Factory"?
I mean, it's the by menon, it just goes.
Right. Well, I had mentioned a couple T-shirts there that I was repulsed by. I equally liked them and I hated them, so I
Yeah.
refused to buy them. Well, yesterday we went back, me and my wife solo. Well,
Hmm.
together, without my son, so it wasn't
There you go.
family. There we go. We're one
Tag
unit.
team.
We've congealed into one human being. This is what happens when you get married. You have no individuality anymore. You're just a pile of goo, and you do everything together. And the shirts were still there. And the first one I'm going to show off was I cited last week, had an incredible image on it on the back, which is from Amazing Spider-Man number 350, which is like half Eric Larson red suit, half McFarlane black suit. And I just love this image. I think it's fantastic. It's iconic. You know, it reminds me of my youth, very 90s.
Sure.
So
Oh, definitely.
I'm like, man, if this was on the front of the shirt, I would just love to friggin' have this thing. Well, problem with that is, despite this wonderful image being on the back, the front of it is like someone who spent 2 months in graphic design school
Hmm.
vomited all over it. So of course I had to send you photos here of what they look like.
Indeed.
So you can agree the back of that shirt's pretty awesome, right?
Pretty cool.
Pretty
Pretty
cool.
cool.
And then you flip it around and you go, what in the
And it's a Slipknot shirt.
what? Yes. I was going to say like death metal or something, but I think you hit the nail on the head. So you get the picture of Spider-Man up in the
The
corner
hell
there,
even is that?
and it says Spidey, 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 like that. And then the same image is protecting your zipper on the bottom of the shirt.
Oh, it's horrendous.
Yeah, and look, there's some little funk on there. I didn't even notice that now, but I'm looking at it on the screen. So maybe someone got really excited when they put on that
Get a little excited.
Slipknot shirt. But but anyway, I couldn't buy it. I just want to make sure I took pictures of it because you know I'm here. I might as well chronicle what I was
Sure.
discussing last week because I'm sure I didn't do it justice verbally. So that's the shirt. So I'm actually curious. I'm going to throw this out now. Badabinshow@gmail.com. Would you buy this shirt? It is $9.
Would you wear that
Would you
shirt?
wear it? Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny you say that. Would you wear it? Because essentially, the image is so cool in the back. You could like put it in a frame or
Mm.
cut it out. I don't even know, man. It's pretty neat, you know.
Yeah.
And then for the piece de la resistance or de resistance, not de la soul, is I had mentioned there is a Marvel Age T-shirt, which is really awesome, but it was so bizarre because the word balloons were blank. Now,
Intermittently.
I have this shirt in my hand. I was gonna buy it yesterday. I
Mhm.
picked it up. I'm like, and I'm texting you, and I'm just like, hey man, should I buy it? And you're like, well, I've spent more money on less, and I'm like, yeah. He's right.
Mhm.
But dude, as every husband does when you get separated from your other piece of goo.
Mm.
I shouldn't call my wife goo. I don't mean it like that. But your significant other, you guys are one symbiotic
Sure.
creature, and you're always roaming around the store looking for that person, right? You're like,
Oh
where the
yeah.
hell do they go, and how the hell do they move that
And
fast?
you call them, and you're like just an aisle away from them, and
Yes.
then
But between then and finding my wife, I just was filled with regret. I was hurt, and I'm like, I cannot, in good conscience, buy this shirt that has the blank word balloons and the little like text box on it. Everything else about
you could
that
fill
shirt
it.
is
We could have
great.
filled it in.
My wife said the same thing. She's like, you could write whatever you want in there, and I'm like, but
Hmm.
it's just no, it's wrong, and it's hurting
You
me.
put the Bada Bin logo in there.
You know what? That did in fact cross my mind. I am not even kidding you. Because what I did say to you is like, if I buy this shirt, I'm wearing this on the next Bada Bin show. I'm
Mhm.
gonna wear it. I mean, why else would I buy the damn thing? Because it's equally alluring and repulsive, and it's driving me
Oh
insane.
yeah.
And I even tried to rationalize it using one of your go-tos, saying, "Well, it's
Mhm.
ephemera.
It is. It is.
This is a very unique little piece that there's only one left. So I don't know if they only had two to start or 10, or people bought them. I don't know." But as you can tell, I walked out of there without it, and good judgment prevailed.
What issue of Marvel Age was that? 90?
Yes, 90. And as a matter of fact, that image is also missing the Comics Code Authority stamp, and it has this really weird line under the month of July, which I really don't understand. It's very bizarre.
That is weird. Yeah, there's actually one on Amazon right now that has the word balloons gone.
I've seen it. I almost bought it.
Oh, you saw that one too?
Yeah,
From
I'm
Amazon.
tempted to buy it. Yes, indeed. because I love this
Oh
image.
wow.
I think it's fantastic.
You could have flipped it on eBay, homie.
No, 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 no. I don't even want to know what.
You could be a t-shirt flipper.
Oh, no, 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 no. I don't even want to know if it's on eBay or how much it's going for on eBay. But
There's a long sleeve version of it at Walmart.
I will tell you this: if you are in Burlington, in Richardson, Texas, that shirt can be yours for $8.99. You're welcome. I
Mm.
left it behind. If you get the stomach and the fortitude to purchase
Hmm.
it and wear it, be my guest. No judgment. But for me personally, man, I was going through a moral crisis walking through Burlington yesterday. No joke.
At, at superherostuff.com, you can get it for what you want. What you could have paid for it would have been the shipping.
Oh, okay.
It's $25 plus 8 in shipping.
Hold that thought. So,
Hmm.
for the exact same wordless text
Uh-huh.
balloon, really, this
Except it's white. Except it's white.
funny you should bring that up. That's the only thing holding me back from buying the Amazon one. I am very
It's white.
anti-white T-shirt
Hmm.
because the moment I put on a white T-shirt, I feel like I'm gonna spill some coffee, or it's gonna be
Hmm.
a abnormally hot day, and I'm gonna get like neck sweat stains on it or something, and I just it bothers me. You know what I mean?
I feel
It's the
you.
only thing holding me up. It could be heather gray, could be a different color. Hell, it could be mustard yellow, but it can't
Mm.
be white. You know what I mean? So yeah.
There's a 4XL on eBay
Ooh.
for $27.
Well, they probably bought it at Burlington for $8.99. So way to make a
Eventually,
buck if it ever
yeah.
sells. You know what I mean?
Well, this person has 100% positive seller rating, so
What does that have to do with
any
anything?
second now, any
I could be
second
a
now.
100% positive seller rating and still try to sell you a shoebox full of turds. You know what I
If
mean?
I'm in the market for that, it'd be a good thing.
You're right. It would be. But listen, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. That shirt is a
Hmm.
pig.
Oh, it's awful.
It's yeah. And you were trying to
Yeah,
convince me to buy it.
but it's great too. It's great and awful
Dude,
all at once.
have you ever been in those situations before where you're like so
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, I hate this, but I kind of want it and I don't know what to
Oh
do.
yeah, for sure.
So what do you do?
I don't know. I guess it's case by case.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
were the devil on my shoulder yesterday, but I did not heed your words. I rejected you. All right?
You sent me back to the pit.
I did. All right, buddy. Okay. That was my son telling me he is safe and sound.
Bus is good. Okay.
Yes, yes. More behind the scenes stuff, guys. Don't worry.
Hmm.
Dave here is dealing with so many dilemmas. I might as well make
Hmm.
lemonade. Whether it's
Hmm.
Bada
Hmm.
bot giving me fits, my son with his school stuff, me having to go to bed, at like 6 o'clock at night.
Daytime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Everything's just wackadoodle today. So, all right. So we've gotten through our hiccups. The show
Mhm.
is progressing nicely. What do you say we start talking about some comics now?
Hey.
I read a fair amount of new books this week.
Mhm.
You did not read the same ones I did.
I didn't read any of them really.
Exactly.
I got my package on Friday, and it's just it's been busy.
Yeah.
I managed to unpack them, but I haven't dug in yet.
Well, it does slightly hurt my feelings only because I mentioned to you I am very, very curious to your thoughts
Mhm.
on Absolute Flash numero uno.
That one wasn't in the box, so
Well, oh, you did mention that. You didn't even get it.
hmm
Which is,
yeah, I think that'll be in next
oh,
month's.
dang.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
We're just cursed on this thing, let me tell you. Well, you know what?
Hmm.
I read it. Yeah,
Hey,
I did. I did. And I guess if there's no objections, since I got
oh, what's with the terrible logos for these Absolute
I got a little
books?
stack here, I'll kind of go through with what I did in fact read this week.
Mm.
I,
The
I
logos on these things suck.
You're not a fan of this one, huh? That
They look like garbage.
well,
Yeah,
I gotta say,
they look dated.
you think so?
Yeah,
I can see that being kind of a '90s thing.
but not good '90s.
Well, the reason why I'm saying the '90s even is because the little points on the font for the Flash
Mm.
remind me of the television series, the John Wesley Ship television show.
Okay.
But logo aside, I don't know, man. What I told you in my spoiler-free review off air,
Hmm.
I wasn't crazy about it. overall. After I had finished reading it, I took like 24 hours to kind of process it, and I was like, well, I kind of understand what they were trying to achieve here, because one of the key aspects of this book, much like, and I'm going to talk about Absolute Batman 6 later,
Okay.
one of the wonderful elements about Flash, not Batman, I'm sorry, is Nick Dragotta's like layouts. I've mentioned that
Okay.
before
Yeah.
on the show. I like it. I think it's very cinematic. It's different. It's unique. It has an energy to it. This book comes off as very, very spastic.
Okay.
And this is where I can understand. If you are the Flash, your mind is racing. You are thinking faster than everybody else. Like, so imagine you're panicked or you're upset. You're going to have like these really just insane moments of
Very chaotic.
chaotic and overthinking,
Yeah.
which happens in this book, It can
Mm-hmm.
be a little distracting, though, too, when you're reading this.
Mm-hmm.
To mention what I do kind of like about it was it's fairly traditional, wherein you get kind of like, okay, here's the introduction to this character. Wally West is the Flash. Plus, you get to see some of his rogues gallery. And it leaves you with a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end that makes you think, if you do enjoy this issue, I'm ready for issue 2, DC. Like, hit me with it. I like the direction it's going. Me, I will keep subbing to this to see how it goes, but it definitely did not knock my socks off. I'm not running to go buy issue 2. When it does come in, it's not going to hit the top of my stack. Like, oh my God, I got to read Absolute Flash number 2. So it was kind of like a ho-hum thing for me. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is a line in need of books instead of books in need of a line. The Absolute thing, like they struck relative gold with Batman, and then it's like, oh, we need all of them. It's like, no, you don't.
Right.
It's like it reeks of like New 52, where it's like, we need all these books out.
Well,
don't worry about the context. All these books, not earned, get them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, they hit you with the top 3, right? They hit you with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And now Flash is trickling out. Absolute Martian Manhunter comes out this week.
Yep, Green Lantern.
Oh, yes, thank you, Green Lantern. I completely forget about that. So, yeah, it's not like it's all titles launch at once. They're kind of like trying to stagger it a little bit. I will say, I do find it fairly interesting that they did decide to go with like an absolute Martian Manhunter, because for me, he's more of like I understand he's been leading the Justice League and he's considered like this cornerstone character, but as far as someone who carries his own series,
he's never been able to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's a mini.
Yeah, and the other thing is the longest series that he had was the John Ostrander series for Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, it ran like 30 issues or something like that.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it's an interesting choice, and it's already a critic's darling. And I did sub to it, so I'll be the judge of that next shipment. You know what I mean? But just back to Absolute Flash real quick before I move on. I almost feel like my thoughts on it and the way I'm explaining it, I always say, oh, I sound like a used car salesman trying to speed through these reviews. In this sense, I do. I feel like my thoughts on this book are very scattershot, almost as a result of the narrative of the book. You know what I mean?
It's like whiplash. Yeah.
In a way. But you being a Wally fan, you being much more versed in the Flash, when you do finally get this book, I want you to let me know immediately what your opinions are on it, because you did drop all the Absolute books, so I want to know if this is going to be a keeper for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still get Batman. And,
okay, you did. All right.
And I'm trying like the first issues of everything at least. So,
all right,
we'll see.
Yeah, this one, honestly, if I didn't get a discount on it, I first issue didn't impress me enough to stick around. And Jeff Lemire is a good writer. Robles,
I like Lemire a lot.
Nick Robles was the artist on this. It was okay, but that's all I can say about it. Everything was just okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're trying to establish this new exciting universe that has a buzz around it, thanks in large part to Absolute Batman, you kind of need to keep that momentum going. You can't hit us with the whole hum.
No, it's just another comparison to the Ultimate Universe back in the long ago, where it's like you had Spider-Man and the X-Men, and they were both. I mean, X-Men wasn't great in my opinion, but it was still like a hot book. But then it's like, here's Ultimate Fantastic Four that nobody asked for. Here's Ultimate Vision that nobody asked for. It's like, it was just like, we need to fill this pocket. And that's what it feels like with these Absolute books. Just keep it the Trinity for a year. You know, maybe mention these other characters, or unless they're keeping them apart for some certain reason. But it just, when they launch something like this and they fill every bucket at once, it just doesn't feel earned. And it's, I don't know, we talked about manufactured hype. And this all feels like manufactured hype.
I can follow you on that. Plus, some characters, you know, it's a dark universe. It's a negative universe. It's filled with a lot of, like, I don't know, cynicism, just negativity, everything else. It's like, is a Flash the kind of character you want to see exist in that? And then, so, I mean, here's the other thing about Absolute stuff, right? They're stripping away a lot of the cores to the character because they need to, you know, shock and awe you with these changes. And I think sometimes that's worked. And I'm going to talk about that in my reviews coming up, some of the for the books I read this week. Flash, for me, I don't know if I necessarily wanted that. You know what I mean? As far as, especially with Wally West, who I consider, you know, a fun-loving guy.
Yeah,
you know?
9 times out of 10.
So,
unless Tom King's right.
Ooh, don't get us started on that. All right, next up in the bad boy Bada Bin stack, I have Aquaman number 3. Now, if you remember, there's gonna be a couple books here. It feels like we talk about a lot on this show. Maybe because I don't have a lot of variety in my pull list recently. Because we did have like our Aquaman Namor show a few episodes ago, but they're gonna both make appearances here today. And if you do in fact recall, 1 we weren't overly excited about. I liked 2 because it was simple. And here with number 3, I like it for many of the same reasons. I think it's kind of like someone is texting the living crap out of me. Leave me alone while I talk about
You're blowing up.
Arthur Curry. Yes. This could be, in no disrespect to the writer Jeremy Adams, in many ways copy and paste to the format to what a successful superhero comic has read like for decades. With that, to me, that's something I in fact enjoy if it's done well. I think that's the case with this. And I'm going to say the most old fogiest person thing to ever be uttered out of my mouth. There is a beautiful rendition of a lighthouse in this issue. So much so, it might be the best looking lighthouse I've ever seen.
There you go.
And I'm from the East Coast. And I've seen plenty of paintings and drawings and statues of lighthouses.
An actual lighthouse.
I've seen actual lighthouses as well. I've been inside of a lighthouse. And Tim's here. This book opens and you're immediately like, what? Like, for real? This dude is just talented off the charts. It's really a beautiful book to look at. So, yeah, shiver me timbers. I've been pleasantly surprised with the last couple issues of Aquaman. So, read it. And let me know what you think. I'm talking to you, Chris. I'm not talking to the audience. I'm talking to you.
I do have that one downstairs.
See, there we go. You know what to do later. Sorry, man. This is, of course, production value. I couldn't even get a microphone working to start the show. So, of course, I'm not ready with my images here. So you do have to bear with me. Once I figure out what the heck I'm doing. Saga number 72. Let me tell you about Saga, right? It goes, and you know, you kind of put this into my vocabulary because I'm aware of it, but I never really use it, and that's the term seasons.
Yep.
When referring to comics, because for me, it's just like separation of church and state. When you're talking seasons, we're talking TV. I don't like the concept in my comics. Mind you, I love this book as a whole. And I bring up the whole concept of seasons because this is the end of one. So it's going to go on hiatus again. I'm not sure for how long, but they've gone on some pretty lengthy hiatuses in the past. There is an end game in sight with Saga. I believe it's 108 issues. So here we are at 72.
Okay.
Now, without being, and I feel like I should get a nickel for every time I say this, without being too spoiler-esque, these finales are really hard to live up to, especially with Saga, because they pulled a wild one out of their corduroys a couple breaks back, where some
Hmm.
major characters, some huge impact, like really gut wrenching emotional stuff happened, and this one does not have any of that. Now,
Okay.
Brian K. Vaughan, in one of his newsletters, I read it. He was like, I'm really proud of this. I'm proud of this chapter. And what I have to say is, it's been okay, but it has
Hmm.
not been great, and I have found it to be a tad bit tedious. This issue in particular, you're waiting for the foot to drop yet again, some massive thing to happen, the cliffhanger to leave you salivating until they return. But it's more just like someone changed their political affiliation in this space war, and it's a bunch of people, characters rather, talking about it at various points throughout the cosmos, wherever they may be. So, in some regards, it's nice to see these characters again. You might not have seen them for a little bit, but it's not very exciting because they're just basically being political pundits weighing in on what they think the
Hmm.
impact will be of this recent decision. So it's a little unfortunate, but I kind of was also braced for it yet again because it hasn't been very juicy,
Okay.
this installment of Saga. But hey, I'm sticking with it. We're almost there at the end, baby.
Hmm.
Before you know it, I mean,
This, this is the issue 4 of 6 chapter.
issue 4 of 6. Yeah, it's.
Hmm.
I'll tell you, man. With these breaks and everything, I think even Brian K. Vaughan mentioned like it's gonna take like whatever, like another 12 years to finish the series.
Mm.
Because these breaks are just. We joke so often about Kevin Smith and Black Cat, the evil that men do, which was just
Sure.
habitually late.
And Daredevil Bullseye, or whatever that
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
That's
Daredevil
the
Bullseye.
Bullseye, the target, or whatever. Yeah, that still hasn't come out with issue 2.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to do it on purpose, and I understand you're trying to create what you deem quality and what you think is best for the series, and let yourself rest up and mentally maybe clear your head out and
Go on
go on
walkabout.
a walkabout and get back into the game. I get it, but I kind of wanted a little bit more than what I was given here.
Hmm.
Now, because it's unavoidable, and I'm trying to space them out. We're going back to the Absolute Universe this time around with Absolute Superman. Um, you're gonna say, Dave, this is a running theme with you, man. You're chin wagging about comics here, and all you can say is they're okay. But I got to be honest. This issue of Absolute Superman number 5 was decent. Was it phenomenal? No. And something I mentioned to you before, when I'm looking at
Hmm.
these Absolute books, you're mentioning, you had said like they're trying to throw these characters out and
Cram.
cram them in
Yep.
there on you. Well, when we're talking about tiers, I don't think there's any one book, or rather more than one book, that fits into a tier. It's like tier 1 is this book, tier 2 is that book, tier 3, and we're only
Hmm.
talking about a handful of books, but still, it's like none of them are kind of like equally as good as the other one.
Hmm.
That's the case here with Absolute Superman. It's been a little bit up and down. There's been a couple issues in this run thus far where I've been very pleased with them. In other issues where I'm just like, I hear the sound of static, man.
Yeah, I hated it.
Really, this is the case.
Oh
This is
yeah.
the case with this one for me. It was just, yeah. I mean, hopefully the next one is better, because yet again, this one didn't make me think, oh, thank God I'm buying this book. It's just we're just passing time. We're just passing through town,
Hmm.
baby. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Unnecessary.
well, I didn't hate it. You hated it, or you
I didn't read that
didn't.
issue, but I've hated that. I hated that series.
Right. Well, you know what? Then let's just do this. I said I was gonna. I said I was gonna space them out, but let's just kind of go for the double whammy here. Unless you wanted to say no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, in which case it's going to happen anyway.
I was never good at that
I
game.
loved Press Your Luck. Are you kidding me? Absolutely
I was
loved it.
never good at it.
Oh,
I don't know the mathematical code that one guy figured out.
no, you get it. It's gut. There is no code. That guy's
There's a
no.
code.
He's full of malarkey. It's all based on instinct. You hear me? That's it. That's all it
He
is.
knew.
Okay. So yeah, let's jump right into Absolute Batman number 6. Now, the reason why I was like, hey, I'm going to space these out, and I completely became a hypocrite and put them back to back is I brought up the whole, fact of
Tier
tiers.
system. Yep.
Here, top. This is top
Oh,
tier.
absolutely. No pun
Yeah,
intended.
this is it. This is the best absolute book going. Now, this is the.
It's probably one of the best DC books
It,
going.
it is
Period.
very good. And
Yeah.
this is the end of the zoo. storyline. And overall, I just mentioned earlier, the layouts, the pacing, everything's been really, really good and top notch. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really, Scott Snyder, I have a lot of respect for him, and I think he's putting out some of his better work with this title. I
Mm-hmm.
do have one issue though with this issue,
Mm-hmm.
pun intended,
Okay.
is that he has this knack of Batman with his gadgets
Okay.
can get him out of any situation, and sometimes for me it's a wee bit too convenient. I remember in All Star Batman, for example, he had like these sonic bat breastplates, that just popped off when he needed them to be there. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, Batman's prepared for everything all the time, has anything you can think of. He saw the Batman 60s movie and saw a shark repellent and didn't think it was
Mm-hmm.
camp. He thought it was canon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To,
No, he's a Swiss Army hero.
well, to go even further, I had read an article recently with Scott Snyder in it, and he mentioned like Lego Batman is probably his
Mm-hmm.
favorite iteration of the character because he's got the whole how often do we say we can't stand at the I'm the best, I'm Batman, I'm prepared for everything,
Mm-hmm.
overly confident, what have you. Well, in this issue, yet again, a gadget proved to be just a wee bit too convenient for my liking, and
Mm-hmm.
the issue was going fantastic. I'm reading, and I'm like, yet again, this is one of the best books going, and I'm like, oh, for real? Seriously? Couldn't this guy just socked him in the face? Couldn't he have like thought of anything else other than go Batman gadget this?
Yep.
And that hurt my feelings, man. I was a little upset by that. Still, it's a minor gripe, and overall, can't be more happy with this book. And this is definitely worth the price of admission. So yeah, if you're not reading Absolute Batman, it's the only Absolute book that Chris continues to subscribe to, so it's
Mm-hmm.
got to be good, right? Sorry, I'm texting my better half back because people can't seem to leave me alone while I'm live streaming.
Word.
All right, so as we continue through the Dave's Magical Mystery Tour of Reads here, I will make a combo platter out of a couple of these, so let me just kind of sort first.
Okay.
Conan number 19. Last time I talked about Conan on this show, I had mentioned I wasn't terribly happy with it. It became kind of boring. Now, Jim Zub, I think.
That's a what is it? That's a feature, not a bug.
How do you mean?
Conan's boring.
Oh, no. That was a bump in the road, okay? Overall,
Okay.
this series has been fantastic. And I was about to praise Jim Zub, the writer, before you jumped in trying to crap all over Conan over there. You got a problem with barbarians, buddy. You're an anti-dentite. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This issue is back, bringing us back to, well, okay, Conan's dealing with a loss. He has to survive in the jungle. And it's the kind of Conan book I really enjoy reading. So I was very, very happy that he's returned to form. Doug Braithwaite, or Braithwaite? Wait!
Mm-hmm.
White! I don't know. How do you pronounce it? How would you say it?
Braithwaite.
Braithwaite. Okay. He's the artist on here. He's okay. I think he's talented. Is he?
Haven't heard that name in ages.
Exactly. I didn't either. I was kind of surprised he was drawing this. I think he did a very good job with it, but it wasn't. I don't know. The original artist here, the guy actually did cover number A, is Roberto de la Torre, and he's been fantastic, and that's who they kicked off the series with. So I wish he was still just like the regular penciler on here.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, if you were disappointed at all with Conan recently, as I was with the last couple issues, you will be pleasantly happy with Conan the Barbarian number 19, who is about to be eaten by a jaguar, as you can see by the cover there,
Mm-hmm.
which is a terrible way to die. I'm trying to think of.
It's up there.
Yeah, I was going to say the worst ways you could possibly perish. Being eaten alive by a wild animal probably is not the best. Okay, and then we got some more fishy stuff here with Namor, and this is the final issue of this series, this maxi series.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you wrote in last week, and he'd already read it before
Yeah.
I did, and he had said that he was happy with it and how it ended. I didn't want to jump the gun and get too excited over it, but I got to be honest, chef's kiss, baby. I thought it ended phenomenal. I thought it was great. It was really
It's another terrible logo, though.
okay. You know what? I
It's like a lost art.
Yeah, I guess so, man. I was gonna say give or take. I could live without it.
Mm.
If they chose something different, whatever.
Mm.
But as far as the contents of this issue, I thought Jason Aaron just killed it. I thought it was a great way to end the series. It was fitting. It was fluid. It was just a fantastic read from issue. I mean, well, issue one. I think I'm always kind of a little iffy on issue ones. I think I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
this about myself. I'm always skeptical. You know what I mean? Because I'm always thinking I want to be tricked or fooled. But overall, 1 through 8, great series. So if you haven't read Namor yet, I think you're missing out. So go pick up the trade. Or now they're going to make it, what, 2 trades because it's 8 issues? How smart are they, right?
Possibly.
Two
Yeah.
4-issue trades. Yeah, that's how they get you. That's how they trick you. But if you're not interested in Namor, I think this would actually be a nice jumping on point for the uninitiated, if you will. So that'd also be a bonus for picking up this Jason Aaron Namor series. Now, I know I'm probably boring you to death with these reviews. Maybe I'm not giving you what you want, Chris. I'm waiting for a yawn from you down there.
I've been holding them in.
Yeah, hold it in just a little bit longer because this is that combo platter I was mentioning earlier. And it's more than just a combo platter. It's a poo-poo platter. That's what this
boy.
is because these 2 issues were the worst things I read
Oh.
all week. So we got here Action Comics 1084.
I've got that one downstairs.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is the end of the John Ridley penned arc here.
Superstar.
Yeah, Superman Superstars, The Machinations of Mannheim. Dude, this book was so painful. It was just, I was just totally praising Aquaman for copy and paste. In
Mhm.
many ways, this is very formulaic as well. It's just not done
Just bad.
good. It's done bad. So yes, Toss and Fire bad. This is really softening the blow for me canceling Action Comics when Wade hops on board with the Superboy stories. I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, even with the discount, I'm like, it hurts. I paid for this. This was so unenjoyable. And some of the comic news outlets were making a big deal because Superman breaks one of his, or bends his morals a little bit in this issue, which is true, but I don't find that to be the most alarming factor of the entire book. It's just poorly written. So, and then, as prepared to throw more books into the bin of fire over there, World's Finest. I've been complaining about this book for a long time. How dare I? We have Floronic Man. We have Swamp Thing in here. And this is finally the end of this atrocious Aquaman arc. Oh, my lord, you think Swamp Thing would just be enough to keep me happy? He's finally in a book, and is Alec Holland, because this takes place in this vague spot of continuity that nobody can exactly define except for Mr. Mark Waid himself.
I doubt he even could.
Oh, it's boring as hell.
I wonder if he buys an index card somewhere.
I'm telling you. I mean, dude, this... I've mentioned in the past, I'm trying to stay loyal to this book because of the numbering, basically, and it's cheap. That's the other thing. It's cheap, and I have the numbering going on here. I think, I might as well stay loyal to it, kind of support it, in dire hopes that it'll catch on, and publishers will say, you know what, that book's selling, even though it's on issue, well, this one here is 37. It's on issue 40-something or 50-something, and people are still buying it. Let's keep series going. Huzzah! No.
You think it is selling?
No, I don't, dude. I don't know who is enjoying this. I really don't. And it's not, again, I just mentioned how much, respect I have for guys like Scott Snyder. I have said until I'm blue in the face, I have the utmost respect, ultimately, for Mark Waid, his contributions, his knowledge, and everything else. But he has just spread himself so thin. And, we could go on and probably, until we're blue in the face about why the quality of his work is suffering. I mean, DC just handing him the keys, saying, do whatever you want, however you want. You're empowered. You feel like you can do nothing wrong. I mean, if they're saying I can write any book I want, however I see fit, it got to be good, right? No.
You'd think, right?
No, this has not been good. And, the artist, Adrian Gutierrez, he's okay. I didn't really care for him on Blue Beetle. He's been on this book now for, quite a bit. And it's not really his fault. We did mention before when we did the other reviews of this issue, his ears on Aquaman leave a little bit to be desired. But Swamp Thing looked pretty good in this. Floronic Man looked pretty good in this. It was just very, very tired reading. It's a perfect book if you're trying to knock yourself out, to bore yourself to sleep or death. Hopefully, only sleep. But if you're out of medication, you don't want to, ram your head into a door jam. Might I recommend World's Finest to finally catch some Z's?
Mm.
So anyway, that's where we're at with my reads of this week. I didn't read everything that came in my most recent shipment, but that's where I have ended up this week. So, and I always consciously I try to slow things down because I do feel like I just prattle on discussing these issues. So if I did that again, I'm sorry. If I didn't,
No,
I'm
it's
also
all
sorry.
good.
But alas, yes. Now, Chris, you did not read any new books this week, but you
I did
did make
not.
a discovery,
Mm-hmm.
which is fairly significant because the fact that you have now found a character, it means it's only a matter of time
Mm-hmm.
until that character is ultimately ruined by
Yep.
some writer trying to get cute. So why don't you tell us a little bit
Oh, I'm
about that?
sure. Yeah. So I was out and about over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
trying to. I was actually trying to fill in the Toddnibus, the Jason Todd bits from the
Right.
pre-crisis. Um, very very sparse with the comic shops out here. I mean, back issue bins are just God. If you want something pre-crisis, you're kind of up a tree now. It's or up a creek or whatever the saying is. Um, so anytime I go to any Batman back issue bins or Superman back issue bins, it's all post crisis. It's usually post 2000. Um, and it's funny. I was thinking like how special the back issue bins used to feel. When you'd come across maybe the 20, 30, 40 Batman miniseries that have been put out. Now there are whole cabinets full of the current Batman miniseries and the slew of whatever the hell ongoings. It just makes it a lot less fun. And of course, all these books have 17 covers each, so you're just digging and you're not getting anything. So, long story not as long. I stopped at a shop I don't usually go to, but popped in there and I noticed that they had a shelf of pre-owned trades. And so I went over and I looked because you never know. I am still looking for that black case book, the Morrison lead into RIP. And I didn't find that, but I did find something I'd never seen before. It's a trade from 1992 called The Essential Showcase,
Ooh la
which
la.
collects. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is before like even the where's the thing here? The spine looks just generic. There's no DC logo; it just says DC Comics. Um, and in here, I discovered Fireman Farrell, the star of the first issue of Showcase. He's gone on to make about 5 appearances since 1956. He worked in Gotham City for one issue. He worked in Metropolis for one issue. And he was in Showcase 100 because everybody was in Showcase 100. And he was in Crisis number 7 because everybody was in Crisis number 7. But it's not great. It's a 1956 comic about a firefighter. And the cover of Showcase number 1 right there, if I can see. And then they describe how they came up with the Showcase concept here. They have a nice bigger picture of the fellas talking about it right there. But I don't know. I like I said, I had very little time to read, but when I did have time to read, I read Fireman Farrell instead of you know, Superman or Batman from current year. Um, and we were thinking, I don't know if we want to talk about the roulette wheel idea yet, but
No, 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 no. We're
no,
keeping that in our back pocket until it's ready.
yeah, like Dave said, I'll always find a character, and then someone will put out a 12-issue miniseries full of 9-panel grids about that character. So Fireman Farrell, he's in the ether right now, and I'm sure he's coming to a black label near you very soon.
You have that knack though. You like those little weird
I do.
offbeat kind of characters. It was like
Mm-hmm.
gymnastics was a big one that always comes to
Gymnastics,
mind
yeah.
that you covered on the blog back in the
Hmm.
day. You know, so I don't know, they just call out to you, these weird
Oh yeah.
random Z-listers. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a concept I wanted to bring to this show. Like a segment that I was going to call "Found Funnies,"
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like the weirdest characters I can find in the deepest, darkest bowels of a quarter bin. It's like, here's gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Here's whatever. Maybe one day, maybe one day. But that's not the only book I found on that used shelf.
Okay, what else you got cooking there, buddy?
Now, a few weeks ago, I showed Batman in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I found Superman in the 40s.
Nice.
Yeah, this one's a little newer. You can see the swoosh logo. And I grabbed this one because I wanted to read the Superman Christmas story. And you can see it the wreath there. And it's not great, but you can see there's the big tree there. But I don't know. It was okay. Uh, you get to see it ends with Superman forcing a kiss, or I guess Clark forcing a kiss on Lois under the mistletoe. She doesn't look too pleased by it.
Oh my
So
my.
there's that.
Oh baby, it's
Yeah.
cold outside. She is not. Yeah, she ain't having it.
No, she ain't digging
Oh
it.
boy.
She ain't digging it. And we just talked about Superman and his moral code.
Mm,
So there's
being
that.
bent, not broken,
Yeah.
but bent.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But here it was pressed. So
Literally, it was literally
hmm
pressed to the point where she
hmm
had a big question mark, exclamation mark, like, "What is
she
that?
had no idea.
Man of steel,
Yeah.
my ass." Let me tell you, my friend. Yeah, well, those are some cool finds, you know. And again, it's
Yeah.
up your alley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's your
Hmm.
jam right there. So right on. I find those old stories though so hard to read. And I feel bad because
Oh yeah.
you know everybody's like, "Well, hey man, you freaking love comics. You say how much you love comics all the time, and
Hmm.
you have a hard time reading that era, the golden age of comics." Well, yeah, because I'm not a
Hmm.
kid who grew up in the Depression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need these little disposable stories that kind of take me away from this world view of standing in a bread line. You know what I mean? It's like a different era. I did a terrible
That's
job of explaining that, but still, you know what I mean? Like,
no, no. Your point is well taken, but it also kind of underscores the brilliance of the Morrison run on Batman, where he was able to take things from the Golden Age and Silver Age
mm-hmm,
and make you want to go back and read them because they actually feed into a modern story.
yeah,
Um, I think if we had more writers like that, maybe not necessarily as eccentric as a Morrison, but someone who wanted to make everything work, everything fit, we could get those stories from the 40s and the 30s could have a second life.
yeah,
They could be appreciated because they are indicative of something going on right now. Um, like that Black Case book that I've been trying to search for. It's full of weird Batman stories. There's that's where the Zur-En-Arrh thing came from. And it's very, very interesting that something that was a throwaway became just something vital to a story, a very deep story,
mm-hmm.
a story that was perhaps a little too deep because people still don't get it. But I don't know. Like if you can go back to a Superman in the 40s story and make it somehow applicable to something going on now without being cute about it. I don't know. I think these golden age trades, silver age trades, you can get some mileage out of them.
Now, are you saying that Grant Morrison is eccentric because, much like how David Lee Roth, there's
Hmm.
never been a pair of assless chaps he didn't like
Hmm.
because he will wear mesh T-shirts, or not even shirts. They're just like these
Nets.
nets. Grant Morrison has never met a net shirt he didn't like. You know what I mean? Like he's
Hmm.
always been adorning himself. You know, with me and my graphic tees, he's just something else, huh? Yeah,
Not just the stories are just
yeah.
there's such a passion and love for comics history and paying it service. I mean, the Animal Man run, the Doom Patrol run, the Batman run, All Star Superman. Just there's a lot of good, and it's never about. It never seems to be, and I might be projecting here. I likely am, but it never seems to be as self-serving as when other writers, other creators reach into the past and pull something up. Like Fireman Farrell in a few months.
Yeah. You get a very good point there, because when you think of things like we all have like nostalgia bubbles, right?
Sure.
I was just saying I didn't grow up in the Depression, so why would I really be totally intrigued by stories in the 40s? And when you talk about All Star Superman in particular, it makes me think, okay, so he was writing to this audience at a certain time. They wouldn't necessarily have been Silver Age fans, yet that book is so Silver Age infused in the sci-fi and
Hmm.
everything else. It was fairly brilliant in how he molded that into what is
Yep.
now. He borrowed just enough to make it into a modern classic, and
Absolutely.
it's a book that's always cited as
Hmm.
being
It's evergreen.
an
Yeah.
essential Superman story. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you're right. Despite the fact he dresses, in net shirts, and he probably has very strange tans after he goes out and sunbathes in them.
And he did once encourage the entire readership of the Invisibles to masturbate at a certain time to increase sales.
Really, what time of day was that?
Yeah. I don't recall.
Oh,
I was not reading the Invisibles,
oh, okay.
which is probably why he was trying to raise sales. Um, but it was in the I guess it was in the letters page.
Okay.
He was trying to foment a movement
What he should have done was
to.
between issues 5 and 6, come out with an issue number 1. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then boom,
Hmm. There you go.
sales, and then you can go
Pop some extra covers in there.
right back to what you were doing
Yeah.
before. No
Hmm.
harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Biggity bam, biggity boom. That's what you got to do.
We just solved it.
Yep. Everybody, leave yourselves alone.
I mean, that is basically a different version of jerking off anyway.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
a way. You're right. It probably is. Well, anyway, Fireman Farrell, we'll get ready for him to be hitting the newsstands, as Chris
Hmm.
mentioned. Black Label,
Hmm.
probably soon. And yeah, man, definitely good finds. Now, what store did you find those at?
Samurai Comics.
Samurai. Okay.
Hmm.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I take a
Hmm.
moment to follow up on yet another thing I brought up last week? That's not
Yeah.
T-shirts,
Okay.
but if anybody watching the show, you might notice, and hopefully, my cam quality is a wee bit better this week. Yet again, something else I was trying to set up on the fly here before we get going, and maybe that led to some of the issues we were suffering here at the onset of this episode. Um, but the reason, or the catalyst, the impetus of the reason why I wanted a new
Hmm.
camera was I just got this Joe Fixit statue in the
There you
mail,
are.
and it was live on this very airwaves, and I'm trying to show it off, and I'm like, man, this is blurry. This looks bad. This is, man, I'm like, you really can't see anything. My face is one thing. You probably don't want to see that in high definition. I get it, understand it, respect it. But a Joe Fixit statue, that's what the folks out there really want to see. So I did take a couple photos, and upon further inspection, I'm going to be honest. Now, if you do recall last episode, I was a little awestruck by this statue. I'm looking at it, I'm going, yeah, baby, I like you. I mean, probably not boost invisible sales like you, but I
Mhm.
like you. But I did notice there was kind of a flaw in this statue, and I'm having a hard time getting over it now that I've seen it. And what that is the paint job. I did mention I like the paint job, but upon yet again further inspection, his teeth are a wee bit funky. Um, Somebody out there decided they need to, yeah,
Gingivitis.
give him like darkened teeth. Which, okay,
Mm.
he's the Hulk. Joe Fixit. He's bad. He's burly. I just don't recall
He's
Jeff
eating
Purr.
dirt.
Yeah, they kind of just put some soot on there, which
Mm.
I find a little bit distracting upon further review. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overall, it's still a great statue. I'm very happy that I bought it. I've got, no real full regrets other than the fact that, yeah, they decided to put some shoe shine on his teeth there a little bit,
Mm.
which seemed unnecessary. Or at least the way that they did it. If you want to add a little grit, some cracks, I can follow that. It's got a funky beat and I can dance to it. But just kind of going, ah la 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 la. I've got this dirty paintbrush. What should I do?
Does he have filthy, disgusting teeth in the
I don't
comic?
recall him having it
Me
look
either.
like that. I do remember them being very, especially with Jeff Purves.
Mm.
The first comp that comes to mind is like reeds or something. Like they have like texture to them, definition. But I
Hmm.
don't remember them like, hey, I just got my braces off. Funk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a little unusual for me. And yeah, in the light, you see it a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know, but still, I would definitely recommend the statue. And if you really wanted to, much like the T-shirt, you could fill in the word balloons. You could just grab a little white marker or something, or even get a little exploratory with it. Pull out your inner artiste and maybe pull out some yellows and greens or something and do something funky with those teeth other than just, hey, we got this gray paint left over from his face.
Mm.
Why don't we just,
And fix a dent and forget
yeah,
it.
exactly. Let's just slap that on his
Yeah.
fangs. Why not? So yeah, those are my. That's I got no more follow ups from last week. That's all I had. The T-shirts.
4 to 5 dentists recommend Joe fix it.
Yeah. Yet again in the 1940s. They
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
recommended, Pall Malls for your
Yeah.
health.
Hmm.
Because of course. But anyway, that's all I got for that. I talked about the comics I read,
Hmm.
the T-shirts, the statue. You got Fireman Farrell in there. What do you say? Would you be interested in possibly um, reading an email from our good buddy who can't
I
be here
sure
live
can.
today? He is a member of the show, Chris Yu.
Oh, is he otherwise engaged right
Yeah,
now?
he said he has some family things going on, so he would
Hmm.
not be here for the live broadcast, but he would tune in later. And Chris, you always contributes to our program with a
Hmm.
very well
Hmm.
thought out email, always leaving comments, and so hence why we always give him his due. If you care to join him,
Absolutely.
badabinshow@gmail.com. You can write us about anything,
Hmm.
anything you want. The Hulk's teeth.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
do definitely want to hear if someone's going to buy that T-shirt though. If someone would wear those T-shirts, as a T-shirt guy, I'm very intrigued. Swear to God, anybody, I can keep your anonymity if you want. Like, I really want that shirt, but I don't want my name out there. I won't release the information, folks. I just need to know the
I want to
truth.
get it and make a flag out of it.
No,
Put it in front of my house.
there you go. That works too. That works too. As long as you're honest, I can take the
Hmm.
truth. I can
Hmm.
accept it. So there we are. So Chris Hughes' email. Do you have that queued up in
Yeah,
front of you right now?
it is right in front
Why
of
don't we
my
read that?
Hazel eyes here.
Okay. What do we
Now
got?
he starts off very festive by wishing us a happy Flavor Town Day. Hmm. Like I said, I think I said last week, I usually like to celebrate that privately, but I appreciated sharing it this time out. He says, seeing that Time Masters issue Dave brought
Yeah.
brings back some memories for me. It was a post-crisis reboot of Rip Hunter. It spun out of Rip's appearances in the first Booster Gold series.
Mm-hmm.
It was based around the new post-crisis revelation that a person could only travel through time via any specific method once in their lifetime. There were two known ways to travel through time that Rip's team were using, and Rip was trying to invent a third one. Issue number 5 actually ties into Morrison's Animal Man run when Buddy was wearing the leather costume near the end of the run. And issue number 6 had an editor's note mentioning a tie in to Swamp Thing number 86, but sadly, no Swampy cameo for Dave.
Bummer.
How about that?
Well.
Yeah, that Time Master series is that one I've seen in the 50-cent bin at half price books all the time, but they put those awful price tags on them,
Mm-hmm.
like directly on the cover. And since that's a new format book, it just rips everything off of it.
Hey, you look
It's
so
terrible.
annoyed by that person hot rodding down your street, man. Like that
I
sounded like
mean,
going real, and your face was like, "You damn whippersnappers, get off my lawn."
I mean, we are on the mean streets of North Peoria,
Yeah,
Arizona. I mean, it doesn't get much
life
harder
is hard for a pimp,
than
bro.
oh, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, when our roads are called Deer Valley and Lake Pleasant, I mean it's
yeah.
tough.
You want to piss Chris off? You go zipping through his neighborhood, revving your engine, or you slap a price tag on a new format, premium format book. Either one of
Hmm.
those things
Hmm.
might incite a rage. It just
It might
might
snap.
happen. I saw the things
Yeah.
happening in your head right there, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is crisis right now. This is calm down,
Mm-hmm.
breathe.
Critical. We're at critical mass.
Indeed.
Chris continues. You talked about comics moving into a new era regarding continuity and new number ones for each new creative team, and this touches on one of my beliefs that some writers have a story to tell, and some writers have to tell a story. It seems to me that all the new launches for each creative team is cutting out a lot of the instances of writers having to tell a story. If the team has a solid 8-issue story to tell, let them tell that story, and don't make them have to come up with something else just to extend the series past that one story that they want to tell. After all, it's only being written for the trade anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I mean, I don't know. If Jason Aaron has 8 issues of Namor to write them. And then if someone else has issue 9 through 15, put them on it. You know,
couldn't agree with you more. I mean, really,
yeah.
that's the way it should be done.
That's the way it was always. That was the way it was done for 50
I
years.
get it. You know what I mean? It's almost like and I'm sorry, I'm gonna get in the weeds here for a second.
No, you're good.
It's almost like the record industry when they didn't have the foresight to see the MP3 coming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we are smarter than everybody else. Like we know better than you, and then that's where we're at with the comic book industry,
Mm-hmm.
where I think you're going to lose a lot of readers. And when I say readers, the people who've been around for a long time because of decisions like this.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be as forgiving or as gentle or just rant and rave on a freaking live stream to get it out of their system like we can. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, really, try it. Go back to it. Watch it
Well, I
work.
mean,
You know?
the thing of it is, it's a question of longevity. You know, are these decisions being made right now in the interest of longevity or the interest of making money right
Right
this
this
second?
second.
That's it.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know?
You're building a house on swamp.
yeah, exactly. Right. There's no
Yeah.
foundation there. It's just,
It's going to sink.
but, great stories can be told. They can be told in smaller formats,
Sure.
but you just keep the series going just like the old days. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
bad of an idea.
Yeah.
We've tried it. It worked before.
It worked for decades.
Decades, as you mentioned, for
Yeah.
50 effing years and everything else. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
to me, and the reason why I compared it to like the music industry in the 2000s or whatever, it's like you don't understand what the audience is anymore. You're making
Yeah.
things to make them, you're obligated to make them, they're making you money on things, yet you're just totally appealing to the wrong crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so irritating and so upsetting. I better shut up now.
No, it's like we said at the start of the show. Say there are 20,000 people reading Fantastic Four religiously right now. 0 of those 20,000 people are excited about a new number one. And 0 of anybody is all that excited about a new number one. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there'll be 45 covers.
Can't wait for
But
cover 1Z, man.
oh, it's gonna be
It's
great.
going to be
That's my favorite one. Yeah.
God, I almost blew stuff out of my face laughing at that because
That's gonna be Peach Momoko drawing a dog with a lollipop in its
I
mouth.
was gonna say it's gonna be Mickey Mouse dressed up as
Mhm.
Mr. Fantastic or something. I mean, really, I don't know.
Oh,
Man.
that's cover F.
Cover F. Okay, I
That's
mean,
way up to the top.
I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy when it just feels like
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, imagine, and I'm just like talking out of my ass here, but imagine you produce a product, any kind of product. Name a product, Chris. Any product. Name one.
A Whoozy
A
What's It?
Whoozy What's It, right? And for so many years, you had a faithful amount of people who love the Whoozy What's It. There's no
Mhm.
problem with the Whoozy What's It. Everything's fine with the Whoozy What's It, but you decide, you know what?
New Coke.
We We got to tweak this Whoozy What's It
Mhm.
just enough to.
Now it's a whatchamacallit.
Yeah, now it's a whatchamacallit. But guess what? We're keeping our jobs. That's what we're doing. It's the same like my job. You know what I mean? People come up with these stupid ideas. Why? To validate the fact that you have this position that you probably
Yeah.
we don't need to begin with. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just so infuriating that we just keep going through these motions and over again. Or, I mentioned during my first rant of the episode how we've never learned anything, or these people have never learned about speculation, which is something we've talked about so much on this program. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when you start servicing these speculators who know nothing and realize nothing, all they are is trying to capitalize on that
Yeah.
whole.
They have no intrinsic skin in the game.
No, but I mean, who was it that said a sucker's born every minute?
Bonham.
Barnum, P.T. Barnum. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's their business model. You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
they exist upon because it has no
Mm-hmm.
staying power. There is no lasting value in any of these things. Yet they're, you know, they're shysters. They're the people trying to sell these to other folks.
Yeah. The carnival buckets.
Carnival barkers. Yet that's who the publishers want to cater to. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know. Where's that hot rod? Have him come ripping by your house again.
Chris continues.
Yes.
I'm honored that Chris would even consider doing a project based on something of interest to virtually no one but me. If the Todnibus ever comes to be, it'll definitely be destination viewing, listening, or reading experience for me. I've been giving some thought on my part about jumping back into trying to read all of the pre-crisis Jason Todd again. I've been trying to put together a reading order for myself, and inspired by the Essential X lapsed, I want to include every appearance he made outside of Batman and Detective Comics as well. Just coming up with the reading order using cover dates is quite the project for me, and it is indeed quite the project. I've used, what is it, Mike's Amazing World? Have you ever used that site?
Never.
Okay, Mike's Amazing World of DC Comics it's an insane site where like he has like he has passed away recently actually, but the site would have it was called the newsstand, so you could like pick a date and it would tell you everything that's on the newsstand and you can filter it. So it's like if you just want the DC, you get just the DC. If you just want Marvel, if you want everything, you have everything. So that is probably going to be the most complete way of doing it. Trying to put together this Jason Todd roadmap, which it ain't easy. Um, I have like 3 or 4 notebooks because when I'm working and I go on a break here, I'll pop in and I'll try to get some more issues down, and it's weird. It's not easy. Um, I do appreciate the callback to the Essential X Labs. That was a very fun program that I did. That was I wanted to include every appearance of the X-Men going back to 1963. So when they showed up at the Fantastic Four wedding in the annual, I covered that issue. If Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch showed up in an issue of Journey into Mystery, I covered that issue. Um, that one was a bear. Um, I think that's the only project that I stopped that I outside of NML Crossing. It's the only one that I miss doing because regular X Labs was a disaster at the end, but Essentials was a lot of fun, and I do miss that a lot. Um, I had people who would listen to that show who didn't even care about the X-Men but liked Silver Age Marvel because half the episode would be me going through the letters page and the bullpen bulletins. So it's like this crazy like Stan Lee carnival barking where he's even back in 1963, 1964, he's talking about how he's going to Hollywood to try to get these characters on the screen. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of very prescient stuff, and stuff I wasn't expecting. So that was a fun one. But the Todnibus, hopefully, I'm able to find a handful. I still need quite a few issues, but we'll see. Anyway, Chris continues. My father used to have a subscription to Time magazine back in the 80s, and I remember when that Superman issue came in. One of the only times in my life where I cared about an issue of Time magazine. I remember being so upset when I asked my mother where the issue went a couple months after it came in, and she told me she threw it away. Ain't that always the way?
That sucks.
Yeah.
That
It
sucks.
does.
Yeah.
It does. Now, I can't think of any other time I cared about an issue of Time magazine either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know,
Does that still even come out?
yeah, I believe it does. Well, actually, you know what? I'm
Oh,
not 100% sure. I assume it does because
yeah, probably.
magazines, and it's so funny since we do a show about
And
comics.
it's probably $15 an
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, I know. what I do notice about magazines, like in grocery stores
Hmm.
and stuff now, and I find it so bizarre. It's
Hmm.
almost as if they produce them only to fill space because listen, seriously, there'll be issues of just like tanks, witches, and it's like
Hmm.
this $14 magazine. All
Yep.
this information you could get online. There's no new, valuable bit of anything you can get from these things. Yet
Yeah.
they fill the racks by 'em. Now it used to be, and there still are. Don't get me wrong, but the tabloids and things of that nature.
Sure. Bat Boy found in
Yeah,
cave.
exactly. But
Yeah.
all these other magazines are just like focused on one celebrity or one topic, and is who would go out of their way to buy that? I mean, now
Hmm.
I should stop myself because if it said Friends on it, my wife would probably want it as like a
Sure.
collectible or something. Um, even then, I don't know. To spend that much money on something like that.
Yes. So it looks like an issue of Time magazine is $14.99,
Okay.
but you can get a year's subscription for $30.
Okay. That can't be right. Really? Is it like 14 bucks
Yeah.
for one single issue now?
See here. If you order a year subscription for $30, you save a hundred and you save. Let's see. To buy them all separately for a year would be $197.
Okay.
So what is $197 divided by 12?
I don't know. Don't make me do math
That's
now. I
math I
have no
can't do.
coffee. I've spent
Let
this
me see here.
episode with you pulling
190,
me out of my madness because I'm just rambling like a wild person. Do not.
197.78 divided
You do it, man.
by.
Do the math.
I'm doing it here. I
Thank
don't
you.
like that. Where's the divided by button? There it is. 12.
12 bucks. Okay.
It's oh wow, it's actually $16.48
Oh, okay.
for an issue.
All right. Wonderful.
So yeah, so you save a ton of money if you get the subscription. I don't know why you'd want the subscription, but
Well, I mean, I remember I mentioned before I did a Groupon one time for Mad Magazine for a sub.
mhm.
When you do that, of course, just like anything else, you get bombarded with ads, and you know the algorithm identifies you as a fool,
As a mark.
as a
Yeah.
mark, and immediately it's like, oh, well, subscribe to Star Magazine for this amount, or
Hmm.
whatever, or Home Economics, or I don't even know what the hell it is, Popular Mechanics. And I'm like, these things are still,
Goofus and Gallon highlights.
yeah, Ranger Rick.
Boy's Life.
Yeah, these things are still being published. Like, what's going on here? What are we doing as a society? We all have these
And we
stupid
can't
things.
and we can't get Wizard magazine
I
back.
know,
Come on.
right? Yeah, exactly. I'm equally, just like my disdain for the T-shirts, equally shocked and not surprised at all that a Time magazine would cost that much money. Um,
Yeah.
but it does seem fairly ridiculous. I don't know. This magazine business, man. We bitch and complain about comics all the time and stuff, but God forbid, imagine you were a Time magazine fanatic or something
Mm.
like that. You'd be up the creek, man. Like, for real?
Mhm.
Seriously? I wonder how much Reader's Digest costs now. You know?
Let's find
You're gonna
out.
look. I knew you were gonna look. Yeah. What is?
Reader's Digest price.
Well,
Let's see
listen. I
here.
mean, I think for most Americans, Reader's Digest was an absolute staple of bathroom reading throughout the '80s and the '90s. Just about every American
It's-
household had your toilet paper and like a magazine rack, and there was always that copy of Reader's Digest. And like, my family didn't sub to Reader's Digest. I don't know how we got it. Don't know how it ended up
It
in
just
there.
appeared.
It
It's
just
like TV Guide. It would just
a
manifest.
portal opened up above the throne,
Hmm.
and it whoop, fell into the magazine rack. You're like, okay.
See, it just says get 84% off the cover price with an asterisk next to it if you subscribe. Um, okay, here, a 1 year subscription is 8 issues and it's $20, but it's supposed to be $55.92. So I got to
Okay.
pull the damn calculator out
Well,
again, don't I?
it's expensive to get your chicken pot pie recipes and your little short stories in
Hmm.
there, or
Yeah,
funny things that
Fif-
kids say, that sort of stuff.
55.92 divided by 8. It's $7 an issue. That's actually not as bad as I thought it'd be. So
And
$7 an issue of Reader's
hopefully the
Digest.
format's still the same, so you can just slip it in your back pocket and take it with you on the go.
Yeah,
You know?
and you get a digital version too if you want.
Oh, okay, groovy.
So look at that.
I
We're in the future
Dude,
now.
I
The
think
future was such a long time
if
ago.
you're subscribing to Reader's Digest, there's another there's another extreme case of not identifying the needs and wants of your audience properly. They do not want a digital copy of Reader's Digest.
No,
Everybody
no, those.
subscribing to Reader's Digest right now is probably near death. Okay?
Mhm.
Geriatric to the point where their photo appears next to the word geriatric in a dictionary. They do not want
Mhm.
the digital version of Reader's Digest. I swear by, I'm telling you.
It's digital tumbleweeds.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what's the old like hosting sites back in the day, like Angel Fire? Yeah,
GeoCities. Yeah.
GeoCities. That's where they host the Reader's Digest digital
Mhm.
digital print
It's a
version.
GeoCities page with the little man with the jackhammer saying under construction.
Exactly. Right. Damn it! This digital edition won't work.
And at the bottom it says sign our guest book.
Yeah, it shows the rolling clicker of visitors or something. Like, yeah, for real, man, get out of here. Reader's Digest, like, come on, do better.
Mm.
Do better. And I know they're probably owned by some publishing conglomerate that owns all these
Oh
magazines
yeah.
now, like Garnet Communications or whatever. And
It might be part of time for all we
yeah,
know.
exactly. Or part of the
Yeah.
fine publishers of tanks and witches,
Mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm.
you. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, man, next time you go into the supermarket, look around you in the aisle. Look at the Snickers, look at the candy bars, and
Mm-hmm.
right there is going to be a stack of mags.
Oh
And you're
yeah.
going, what
Yeah.
the hell? Why do these even exist? What are we doing?
No, when I first moved out here, I went to a supermarket, and I would get Wizard magazine
Mm.
at the supermarket because it was like I could walk there, and they would always have one comic book there, and it was 1997, so it was Quicksilver,
Oh,
the John Ostrander Quicksilver that ran like something like 12 or 13 issues. That was the one that was in the supermarket. It wasn't Superman, it wasn't Batman, it wasn't Spider-Man, it wasn't the X-Men. It was freaking Quicksilver. Who knows?
yes. You know what? I'm almost curious to the point where maybe it wasn't being sold there. Someone just left their copy there.
That's how I came to own issues of Quicksilver.
Someone just discarded them. Like it was like abandoning a pet. Like I don't want to leave him by himself in the woods. No, I got to give him a good home. So you bring him.
I'm gonna staple a $5 bill to this.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? Real quick before I forget,
Hmm.
this is an interesting note. I didn't bring this up in my little reviews of the books, but
Hmm.
Conan number 19 has 3 staples in it, and you may be
That's weird. Is it?
yeah.
Is there an insert?
No, and you may be
There's
asking
no
yourself,
Kool-Aid packet in
there is
there.
no Kool-Aid packet, there is no Columbia House
No AOL
advertisement in
disc.
here. But as someone who worked in the printing industry for as long as I did, the only time
Hmm.
you ever see 3 stitches or staples in a magazine is because there was a mistake, usually,
Okay.
and they're either trying to rectify that mistake or they're trying to double
Hmm.
down because the publisher is like, hey, you guys screwed up our last run, and they're like yelling at the operator of the saddle stitch
Hmm.
machine. You're putting in 3 staples this time, so it doesn't happen, okay? You got
Yeah.
that there, Eddie? Don't do that. So I find it really weird because I don't believe any other issues have 3 staples in them. I could be wrong,
Hmm.
but it did strike
That's
me.
odd.
Yeah, it is odd. But anyway, it's out of the
Yeah.
blue.
I was
Sorry.
hoping there was a Kool-Aid packet in there or
No,
an overpower card.
no, nothing of the sort. Just the extra stitch. That's all.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris wraps up
Yes.
with, we've discussed legacy numbering in the past, and I would like to know your thoughts on the opposite effect. That being the times when a series is canceled and then revived years later with it simply continuing the original numbering. I love that. A good example of that would be Wally West's volume of The Flash, which ended with issue 230 in March 2006, and then it was revived in October 2007 with issue 231 over a year later. And Black as Night tacked a new issue of several long-canceled series into the original numbering. This was common in the Bronze Age when the DC explosion saw several titles like Showcase and Challengers of the Unknown being revived years after cancellation and just pick up the original numbering where it left off. Even Barry Allen picked up the numbering from the long-canceled Jay Garrick Flash series with issue 105. Would you consider this practice the same as legacy numbering? Well, I mean, it is. It's like it kind of just is what it is. It's not legacy numbering is like a program, right? Where like Marvel and DC are trying to eat their cake and have it too. Whereas something like that was them actually playing the ball where it lie and um, continuing the volume. What say you?
I'm for it. as you
Oh,
are. Yeah,
absolutely.
totally. Pick it up where you stopped. I mean,
I mean, the Teen Titans did that too, back after they were dumped in the late 60s, early 70s, and then they came back for a cup of coffee before the implosion,
well,
and they just picked up the numbering.
Chris had brought up the DC implosion. I think there was a miracle. Mr. Miracle did that as well, right? Just jump back into the numbering as it was, and I know it wasn't very long, but
Mm.
um, anyway, okay. When he brings this up, something that pops into my head immediately, even though it's not necessarily related, but I
Hmm.
wonder, like a lot of the original Marvel heroes, they came from other series, like
The
their
anthologies.
number
Yeah.
ones, like Tales from Astonish.
Sure.
Then you get the Hulk, what have you.
Yeah.
And they didn't get like a brand new number one.
Nope.
The numberings continued from that.
They just took over the
They just
title.
took over the
Yeah.
title. So with that, is that like almost in the reverse of that? You know what I mean? Like that was
Mm.
just an accepted practice. It was okay. We grew up with it. It was fine. No one ever questioned it. Whatever.
Hmm.
What if that happened today?
They tried doing that. When was it? God, it was probably 10, 15 years ago when Daredevil, and they did it with the Hulk too.
Mm.
They turned Hulk into Incredible Hulk, and that became a thing. And then Daredevil, they dropped Daredevil and made it Black Panther, Man Without Fear. So I mean, they've tried it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it ever really ran. They never really ran with it that
You're
long,
right.
but they did try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I'm all for it. Like, so for, let's say tomorrow, there was a
Hmm.
complete company wide initiative at DC or Marvel, and they said, the legacy numbering is now the official numbering, biggity bam,
Yep.
biggity boom. We're just picking up from there. Or if there was a hiatus in a series or a pause in the
Hmm.
series, you pick it up.
Sure.
Great. Wonderful. As far as I'm concerned, keep it the same volume even. You don't even
Yeah.
need to make it a different volume because you're just
No.
continuing what you were doing. Keep it on.
Yeah. I mean, if we got this fetish for putting two numbers on each book, then just do it the opposite way. Uncanny X-Men number 712 is actually issue number one of this other story, but the issue is 712.
Mm.
I mean, that was like a gimmick that like got laughed at back in like the Bronze Age, like that issue, the Neil Adams Superman bursting out of chains. It was like issue 250 something, but it said like one. It had a big number one on it, and it's like, oh, that's a gimmick, but you're still paying tribute to the numbering. You're not you're not upturning the apple cart, and maybe you got a few more eyes on a book.
About 12 years ago or so, I remember this because my son was still a baby. I saw a
Mm.
Spider-Man cover that did that as well. Whereas like Bryn, like huge number one on the cover,
Hmm.
number one of this story, and I'm like, at the
Yep.
time, I'm like, geez, come on, you guys for real? Like you need to do that. But now, you know,
I'd rather them do that.
absolutely, a hundred
Hmm.
thousand percent, I would prefer
Oh
that
yeah.
over restarting the book in a new volume. If you
Oh
want to
yeah.
promote merchandise and do 1,000 covers for it, that's fine. I don't give a
Sure.
crap
Who
as long as you
cares?
keep that
Do it.
original numbering. That's all you got to do. It's this
Hmm.
little thing. I have been going cuckoo this entire episode, making a fool out of myself, and that's all they got to do. One little thing, and
That's
I would
it.
zip it up. I'm done.
Hmm. Now, talking about gimmicks, what were your thoughts on the point ones?
No. I don't like those. In the Bay and
Oh yeah,
beyond,
Point Bay and Point Dead and Point
no,
Alt.
no, not a fan of that
Yeah.
one iota. I mean, okay, all right. This is like one of those like debates I'm having inside my head in real time,
Hmm.
because how much I rally against certain things or deviating from the original series in so many ways.
Yeah.
I'm almost like you could make that like a Deadliest Foes of Spider-Man. You could make that a mini, or you could make it into its own thing, or just
You could just make it the next issue of the
make it
book.
the next issue. Exactly.
Hmm.
Right. So all these different particles are floating around in my brain and options
Hmm.
that seem to make much more sense than having your
Yep.
numbering being 88 point BEY, or whatever the case may be here.
Yep.
So yeah.
And I my mind always goes to, we just talked about long term, short term.
Mm-hmm.
Who does it help? Does it help people now? Does it help people forever? That whole initiative makes it damn near impossible, and I know impossible is a hyperbolic word, but damn near impossible for a new person to come in and fill a collection. Because they don't, in a lot of cases, they probably don't even know those issues exist. But do you even count those as part of the series? If Amazing Spider-Man has issue 88 and 88 BEY are both needed for the run, I like going to the new 52 where all the 23s had like point 1, 2, 3, and 4 for that villain month with the lenticular crap. Um, are those actually, because they're not incorporated into legacy numbering? So do they matter? Like I got the poster of the Action Comics 1000 here. Those issues aren't on it.
Yeah. Oh, instant reaction on that, at least because I really like the Arcane one they did for Swamp Thing, but at least like they
Mm.
had the main logo and they just littered it with the villain's name.
Spray painted
Yeah,
over it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So at least you had like a visual cue
Hmm.
that this was not the regular series or what have you.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm much more tolerant to that
Hmm.
than the point whatever, as you had mentioned just a few moments ago, is very confusing for collectors.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, obviously. It's very apparent. And even when those were coming out, I was a little perplexed by them as well. I was like, wait, what's going on
Well,
here?
because it really speaks to the bubble that the comics industry finds itself in. Because if you're going to call something point something,
Mm-hmm.
I know like in information technology that is a different kind of connotation. So when you're seeing point one, I think a lot of people's minds will go that route rather than, oh, this is a weird Iron Man issue. It's going to be like, oh, well, what is this? What is the point of this? What does it mean? Rather than, is this just this next issue? And I know they promoted them as jumping on points and they made them cheaper, which tells you that they can do that. But why the gimmick? Instead of a point one, just put that giant number one on the cover, like you said on that issue of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's issue 780, but there's a giant number one on it. Or like put a banner on top of it. It's like new readers wanted, check here or apply here.
Yeah.
Something, get cute with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Right.
you know, curious, jump in here. Just put a banner on
Yeah.
top.
Blurb.
People think they're gonna win. Yeah, they'll think they'll win a bicycle from Toys R Us. You
The
know.
Columbia 10 speed.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it really is that easy. I mean,
No, and I mean we're a couple of know nothings, but it, that's something in town here. We had a comic themed restaurant. Now I only know that this place existed because I they just closed down and they've been bombarding all the local comic shops Facebook pages with like, come check out our auction. We're out of business. Check out our auction. So it's like, huh, okay, a comic themed place. Okay, that could be a great idea if it's in with a movie theater, right? But what do they do with it? So you check their auction and it's a life-size plastic Iron Man statue with paint chipping off of it that they want $15,000 for.
okay.
And it made me think like, if we want to do some sort of synergist thing with the movies, maybe that's something that needs to be done. Maybe there needs to be an eatery with a comic shop in it. You see the movie, you go to the for kids, for the new readers.
Okay.
You get them while it's still in the forefront of their mind. Because I loved Spider-Man. It's like, oh, we went home. Oh, we got to go to a comic book store now. Screw that. But if there's a restaurant outside a movie theater that is comic themed and not ridiculous, and actually might have a comic book stand in there, you get them while they're there. I mean, and you can get the new releases every Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I'm not thinking. My initial thought on this
You're thinking they're going to get messy.
Okay, yeah, yes, that was my original thought here. I cannot. Food and comics don't mix, but
Like we wouldn't do it. It
no,
wouldn't be. It's not for us.
no. But I'm thinking rather than have like a comic shop or something like that in a
Hmm.
movie theater, let's say there's a local comic store.
No, a restaurant, like a place where families can go.
Okay, well, if that be the case, I'm thinking, let's say you're a comic store within a 15-mile radius or something. Is it a free
Hmm.
comic book day? Let's say you get a bunch of copies of Spidey and His Amazing Friends or whatever random book, and at the
Hmm.
bottom you put a stamp with your store name or maybe a QR
Hmm.
code that someone can scan of where you're located, and those are left out for
Hmm.
free. I don't know.
But you got to get. I don't know. You just got to get them coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think if you can make it an experience, the movie's an experience. If afterwards or before it, you're at this eatery or whatever the hell, and you can get the comics there. You can even have tablets at every table where there's subscriptions to age appropriate whatever. I don't know.
That might
I
do.
was just,
That might do, as a matter of fact, a tablet. You know,
hmm.
when you have like a variety of a few different books on there, that could
Yep.
be something. That seems viable.
Just a way to like, like you want it to worm its way into their head and like stay,
Mm.
which isn't the thing right now. Because if 50,000 kids see Fantastic Four, none of them are buying Fantastic Four #1. Zero of
Yeah,
them.
I mean, case in point, we were talking about my son last week watching Invincible. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I know, not age appropriate. Don't send me any angry emails over that when I'm asking for
But it's still
T-shirts.
it's comic related.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. But
it's
I asked him, "Hey, man, that's cool. You want to read the book?" No. You know what I mean? He
oh.
watches all the superhero movies. You want to read some comics? Nah, it's not for me. Reading is just passe. Reading
Hmm.
is a pastime for
Hmm.
this new generation of kids, and it's part of it is probably my fault as a parent. You know what I mean? And not stressing reading. I tried my best. I failed. Maybe
I mean, if you stress reading, they're going to rebel against reading. So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you
right,
don't.
but
I was kind of just left alone, so I read.
right, but that was okay. I was gonna say it's also a product of the time, right? I mean, you know, here I am yelling about being in the 40s and sticking in bread lines and not
Hmm.
identifying with that. Well, back in the 80s, parenting was a little bit looser. It wasn't helicopter parenting. And to be
Yeah.
honest with you, with the resources made available to me, comics were still in the 80s a cheap source of entertainment.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That were easily
Yeah.
accessible.
Hmm.
So,
That's something that's not to jump
no, of
in, but it's
course.
like if you went to the
Mm,
7-Eleven and you had $1.25 in your pocket and you really wanted the issue of X-Men and it wasn't there, but there was an issue of Spider-Man there, you're going to pick up the issue of Spider-Man back then.
right.
Now, if I go to a comic store and they don't have what I want, I leave. Or I buy friggin' Fireman
Oh,
Farrell.
well,
I mean,
but
but it's
12 year
like
old you know what I mean, would be different.
it's back in the long
Mm,
ago. Yeah, I would have. You want to buy comics.
yeah. And I mean, we had many, it's not like we didn't have movies and stuff, but still VHS wasn't like something
Hmm.
that was affordable to the point.
It wasn't
Yeah,
instant.
you'd have to go to a video store to rent something and everything
Yep.
else. It's like comics were just.
And they had to have it in
Yes,
stock.
exactly, exactly. You're picking up what I'm putting down here. While now
Yep.
it's just the world is our oyster to the point
Hmm.
where it's more inconvenient to have to go buy a comic, pick up a comic, and read a comic rather than just go,
Hmm.
duh. That's the sound
Yep.
my kid makes. Duh. I'm putting on TV, Dad. I'm just gonna watch TV all the time.
That's my TV
Oh,
sound.
is it? And then video games. God, video games. That's an interactive comic book, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
there you go. It's
Yeah. And used video games are about they can be the same price as a single comic book now.
yeah.
So
Well, it's a tough sell. It really is.
it
So
is. So you got
brainstorming.
to make it. You got to make it available. You got to make it inviting. You got to make it because everything's about the experience now. You got to make it part of the experience.
Right.
And you because like you can go to the movie theater and there'd be like a creepy dude from the comic store there being like, "Come!" It's like, no, first of all, take a bath,
Yeah.
but I don't know. You got to make it part of the experience.
I think what we can agree on 100% is that
Mm,
what they are doing isn't working, yet they keep going at it as if it
yeah,
is something
because they're being
successful,
told it is.
you know?
Yeah, because the circle jerk's real,
Yeah, but dude, it's just like there's got to be sales figures. There
and
has to be
there's
numbers.
no worry about that. I just checked
Mm.
Comic-Con. They don't have sales figures for the year because we were talking about World's Finest, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that is still selling. They don't have any figures on it.
Well, DC does. Okay. DC's got the. I
Where?
don't know, but they're not sharing them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because if they were good, they'd be sharing
Yeah,
them.
that's true too.
If they were good, they wouldn't shut up about
Yeah,
them.
you're right. Gosh darn it, you're right, and I don't like it, but it's reality.
I don't like it either.
It's where we're living, darn it. Screaming about continuity in comics and numbering for
Hmm.
episodes in a row. So these two old
Hmm.
fogies on friggin' YouTube utilizing the future to complain. But we're
Hmm.
right. And everybody else is wrong. That's the way it
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
we're brainstorming.
Yeah.
We're actually thinking because I don't want comics to die with us.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, I want it to be as successful as they're telling us that it is.
Yeah. I've made this statement more than once, and I know it's not something that you can necessarily jive with, especially the way your
Mm,
mind works, but uh, this is going to be a terrible statement. And I apologize to anybody. Don't misconstrue exactly what I'm trying to say here, please. But if modern publishing did cease to exist,
mhm,
I would still thrive in back issue bins. You know
mhm.
what I mean? It would still be a good place for me to go and boogie and dance and really enjoy myself and discover so many stories and series that I've missed. Despite the fact reading comics for over 40 years, I still have plenty of blind spots.
Of
Plenty.
course.
So as long as a used bookstore, used comic shops still stayed in operation or in business in person or online,
Mhm.
I would still be a very happy comics customer. Now, that being said, that's why I told don't freak out anybody. Dave declares modern comic publishing dead. No, there's plenty of modern reads I also do enjoy, but I tend to be fairly honest about them. You know what I mean? Whether I like them or don't or what have you, but there are still some. And I say that mainly because today my whole stack, I'm like, meh, okay, meh.
Mhm.
I wasn't like this one's spectacular, the next one's spectacular. I really only had praise for a couple books here in this little pile.
Sure.
That's why I'm saying, hence the honesty may kind of seem like I'm this negative nilly about current books.
No, because I mean, the word average means
Mm,
something. You take everything in the world and it funnels into an average. So it stands to reason that most things are going to be average. That's how you get that number.
yeah,
So I don't see anything wrong with the way you describe the books. They do you regret spending the money on them?
a couple.
There
Two in
you go.
particular. There were two in
Sure,
particular I definitely regretted spending the money on.
sure. But even the ones you were met on, you're like you don't regret spending the money.
Well, I mean,
You don't. You're not throwing a fit. Most things fall into the average bucket.
yeah.
That's what makes the things that are good or bad stand
Oh yeah,
out.
yeah. I hear you exactly. I just
Unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure that issue of World's Finest has 10 out of 10 reviews.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying too. The power of perception is a very dangerous thing. It's if I let's say for 6 episodes of Bada Bin, I praise a book, and then that one episode I say this issue sucks. All the people are going to care about is I said that one issue sucked. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
of
mean?
course.
This video will be
Of
forwarded
course.
to the author and to other people and be like, look at this guy crapping on this book.
Absolute Martian Manhunter has 7 10 out of 10s.
Okay, there you go. Right?
Only 10 out of 10.
Oh, only 10 out of 10. I'm
Only 10. There's nothing under a 10 out of 10 there.
okay. It is a critical
So
darling thus far.
it is the perfect book on the useless comic book roundup
And even
website.
if I like it, I'm most likely not giving it a 10 out of 10. But, I mean, I like, there are new books that I enjoy. I enjoy getting my books in the mail. I like new comics. I really, really do.
Hmm.
It's just that should these guys finally implode, which seems inevitable in many ways,
Mm.
you give me back issue bins, man. I'm just floating there like a fat guy in the pool.
Okay, World's Finest only has a 9 out of 10.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Take it back.
Well, you could thank Geek Dad for
Geek
it.
Dad, Geek Dad, you suck. You suck, man.
He is the acclaimed critic.
How did how, dude? I don't even know if you want to read that thing. Like, how the hell would he have given that a 9 out of 10? We're talking about the same issue here.
This is a great look at an era of Atlantis we haven't really seen much of, and many of its plot elements are actually dovetailing into the current Aquaman book by Jeremy Adams. I don't want to click his website to read the full review.
You know, there was a note in the latest Aquaman, as seen in World's Finest.
Hey,
But it's all has to do with what's her name, Lori Lamaris.
oh okay.
So that's the only reason. So as far as dovetailing, I don't know. Whatever, man.
Is that the right term? I don't know.
I don't know either. I just mentioned I'm not the
Yeah.
sharpest, crayon in the box, but
Oh, that your issue of Action Comics
Yeah.
there? The average rating is 5.9. Geek Dad gave it a 9 out of 10.
Geek Dad's really he's got something going on there.
He's
All
got
right.
he's got problems.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, so 5.9 is the critic rating for Action 1084.
That's yeah.
The lowest score is a 3.0. Oh, by Dr. Ange. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
listen, dude, that book to me was just horrid. It was really, really lousy. I mean, taste is subjective. We all know this. Everybody likes different things. More power to you if you enjoy it. But reviews are tough. You're just taking it on someone's opinion. Like, I like someone's opinion consistently more than someone else's, so they're more trustworthy, right? I gave someone the reason to trust me. I earned their trust, and maybe they'll listen to me. That's hard to find.
I don't think Geek Dad has given anything under a 9.
Oh, wonderful. That's just integrity.
But that actually puts you at the top of the list. So, wow. I don't. How could anybody read that site?
I don't know, man. You
Wow. This is horrid. Okay, I got to get off this website
please,
before I punch in the screen.
Don't punch the screen.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Mm.
All right. Well, that's a wonderful way if we want to end the show right now. Just be like, screw you, Geek Dad. Do you know how many Geek Dads there probably are? That moniker has probably been used.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
everybody's or Geek Uncle, Geek Mom, Geek Bro, Geek Sis.
When did we all want to identify as that? When did that happen? I think I missed a memo.
I don't know. You know me and the whole nerd thing. I don't like that
I hate
being
that.
used.
How is it's a culture? No.
It's like
No.
I was talking to a friend of mine about it the other day because I had to correct him yet again. Like, stop saying nerds, man. And he was like, "Dude, what's the big deal?" It's like we've taken ownership or power of that term back. And I'm like, no. When I was growing up, it was like you didn't want to be a nerd, you didn't want to be a geek. It was just like
No.
geeks got swirlies, man. They didn't get
You
dates.
you
to the
didn't want to be
prom.
seen walking out of a comic book store.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had mentioned before,
No.
comic book stores when we were younger weren't co-ed. It was like the guy you just mentioned who doesn't bathe. That's the dude that was working there. He just, you know what? He wasn't even born. He just suddenly formed out of manifested out of a vat of grease and rose and walked and sat at the comic book store. And they're like, "You're hired." You know what I mean? Those are the people we had to deal with growing up.
Yep.
So yeah, times have changed. I get it. People are trying to create subcultures, identities. Hell, I was a teenager in the 90s. Authenticity was the biggest thing. Everybody wanted to be authentic. Everybody wanted to be original. I get it. I was one of those kids too. Now I look back and go, how lame was I? Like, not to say there's anything wrong with authenticity, but when you're trying to force it, it's not authentic.
It's inauthentic.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So the terms and stuff, nerd and geek, it's just not something I use. I refuse to use it.
No.
You know? But to say
that's up there with the F word.
no.
The pamphlet word.
Yes, the pamphlet. Yeah, exactly. No, we will refrain from using that one. It's not the F word everybody else might be thinking about. But yeah, so geek sis, geek step bro,
Geek mailman,
yeah, geek brother-in-law,
yeah, garbage
geek pet,
collector.
all
Hmm.
of you. Enough is enough with you 9s out of 10s. You hear me?
Geek cashier.
Yeah, whatever. Exactly. Exactly. I don't want to keep going. We could go all day with it.
Geek Fieri.
You know what? I was going to say something about like Geek Flavor Town, but you beat me to the punch. On that note, I have to go because I need to go to sleep. This was not my finest foray into live streaming, and I'm really feeling bad about it. And now I have to retreat because I've had some really terrible rants today, some just complete verbal diarrhea. Dave without coffee is just an abomination, and I should be shut down, which I'm trying to do right now. So I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch today. Virtual hugs for all of you. I appreciate you sitting through my verbal disfluencies and everything else that I've made you suffer through. Chris has stepped up this episode. He's pulled me out and said, "Shut up, man," and taken over. So I appreciate it. But with that, I do appreciate it. Love you all. Chris, do you have anything you'd like to say to the fine folks before we hit the road?
Well, after today's episode, if you could watch a different episode of this every day for an entire month and not see a repeat.
Wow.
31.
There we go. I did.
Even in a long month.
Yeah. Next week.
So thank you all for that.
Let's plan for next week. And next week, I swear to God, I'm going to have coffee. Okay. Intravenous. I don't care. It's happening. It's going down.
Just melt it down and put under your tongue.
Hey, whatever it takes, brother. Whatever it takes. All right, let's get the hell out of here. It's nap time for Daddy. I'll see you guys later.